There is a single moment in nature that cuts deeper into the truth of a human life than libraries full of philosophy ever could. It unfolds in perhaps 5 or 6 seconds. A lone penguin stands at the very edge of the huddle. Behind him, the familiar press of bodies, the shared warmth rising like faint steam in the Antarctic air, the illusion of safety that comes from numbers, from moving as one organism. Ahead of him, nothing but open ice, biting wind that finds every gap in his feathers, uncertainty stretching to the horizon, and very possibly death waiting somewhere in the white silence. And yet, he turns away. This penguin did something extraordinarily rare. He broke formation. While thousands stayed locked together, sharing body heat, sharing direction, sharing the burden of existence, he took one deliberate step outward, then another, alone. But before he commits fully to the emptiness, he does something that has stopped millions of viewers in their tracks. He pauses, he turns his head just once, and looks back at the group. That glance carries no panic, no bitterness, no regret. It carries only quiet, unflinching awareness. He is not confused, he is recognizing. He understands, in that single heartbeat, that the instant you step outside the formation, you can never truly step back inside again. The shape of belonging changes forever. You become something else, something separate. This is not really a story about a penguin. It is a mirror held up to every man who has ever felt the quiet violence of an unlived life. Most creatures on this earth survive by clinging to the center. Nature is generous to the herd. The group dilutes danger. It spreads fear across many shoulders. It turns individual vulnerability into collective strength. It makes tomorrow more probable. And that, precisely, is why the vast majority never leave. We humans build our own versions of the huddle, tribes disguised as friend groups, ideologies that feel like family, careers that promise security, habits dressed up as personality, endless scrolls of opinions we borrow so we never have to form our own. We label it all normal. Normal feels warm. Normal feels known. Normal shields you from the terror of standing apart, from the humiliation of failing in full view, from the ache of walking through the world without echo. But normal carries a hidden tax. It keeps the body breathing while quietly starving the soul. That penguin knew something in his bones that most of us only glimpse in dreams. Safety and meaning are not cousins. They are often strangers, sometimes enemies. No one knows the real reason he walked. Biologists offer tidy explanations: disorientation, illness, instinct gone wrong, impending starvation. Pundits on the internet call it suicide. Cynics call it pointless. But millions of people, especially men, felt something far older and truer stir inside them when they watched that clip. Because every man carries, buried somewhere beneath routine and distraction, the memory of his own frozen edge. The moment he stood at the border between safe and alive and felt the wind on his face. If I stay, I survive. I pay my bills, I keep the peace, I avoid conflict, I age quietly, but I decay, slowly, invisibly, respectably. If I leave, I risk everything. Exposure, loneliness, failure, ridicule, maybe even literal or metaphorical death. But I finally begin to live. Most men never arrive at this fork consciously. They experience it only as background noise, a low-grade restlessness that coffee cannot fix, a frustration that has no obvious target, a muted anger that simmers without flame, a vague sense that life is comfortable, yet strangely weightless. The herd asks very little in exchange for its protection. Just 3 simple rules. Stay where we placed you. Repeat what we repeat. Never travel too far ahead, and never drift too far behind. It calls this equilibrium. The wise call it slow suffocation. The penguin did not leave because he despised the group. He left because an older, deeper voice inside him refused to remain silent any longer. This is the part almost everyone gets wrong. Walking away is not rebellion. It is alignment with a truth that was already living in you long before fear learned how to speak. The hardest part is never the cold wind. It is the sudden silence, the absence of momentum that used to carry you. The moment the chorus stops and you realize no one is going to finish your sentences anymore. That is why he looked back, not to beg for forgiveness, not to ask permission, to pay honest respect to what he was leaving behind, to see, clearly and without illusion, the warmth, the laughter, the predictability, the version of himself that once felt protected. And when he turns forward again, something irreversible is sealed. You are alone now, truly. The herd does not chase after you. A few will stare. Some will mock from a safe distance. Many will simply pretend you vanished. But none will walk beside you. This is the exact place where the majority of men retreat. Not because the path ahead is impossible, but because solitude feels unnatural. The human nervous system was wired across millennia to equate alone with danger, specifically the danger of rejection, exile, invisibility. And yet the penguin continues, into headwinds that feel personal, into cold that seeps into the marrow, into a future with no map and no promise of arrival. Social media almost never shows this part truthfully. Leaving comfort rarely feels cinematic or noble. Most days it feels foolish, reckless, embarrassingly lonely, like you made the wrong choice and everyone else knows it. And still, this uncomfortable place is precisely where real meaning is born. Men who never leave the huddle live lives that can be summarized in a single paragraph. Predictable battles, predictable compromises, predictable Friday nights, predictable midlife crises that arrive exactly on schedule. They grow old safely, but they never truly arrive anywhere. The lone penguin may die tomorrow. That is the stark, unvarnished reality. But there is a second, harder truth almost no one wants to voice aloud. The penguin who stays dies every day, just more slowly, more politely, more acceptably. Death is not always a stopped heart. Sometimes it is the gradual bleaching of color from your days, the quiet surrender to a life that never once asked you to become more than you already were. That solitary penguin walking into white oblivion stands for the instinct most modern men spend their lives suppressing. The ancient, almost violent urge to risk something real, to measure yourself against unfiltered reality, to discover, with no audience and no safety net, who you actually are when the crowd is gone. This is why that short clip circled the globe. Not because millions secretly want to become the penguin, but because, in their quieter moments, they know they are not him. They recognize the courage, and they recognize, with a pang, their own hesitation. The path that leads away from the herd is never paved. There are no signposts, no followers, no likes, no guaranteed sunrise at the end. This is why the truly disciplined man moves in near silence. He does not post dramatic goodbye letters. He does not make speeches. He simply stops showing up to the old places, stops nodding along, stops borrowing other people's certainty. Discipline is thousands of micro-departures from the group, rising before the sun when everyone else sleeps, saying no when yes would be easier and more popular, continuing long after the crowd has declared the effort pointless. choosing the discomfort of truth over the comfort of applause. Every such choice feels colder than the last, but something else quietly begins. Your vision sharpens, your hearing deepens, your thoughts stop racing to fill silence and learn, instead, to live inside it. The penguin does not sprint. He does not glance back a second time. He simply places one foot in front of the other, with the patience of someone who finally understands that certainty is never a prerequisite for movement. Loyalty is. Loyalty to a quiet, knowing that arrived before fear had time to argue. The herd will label you many things: foolish, arrogant, broken, selfish, doomed. They will insist the danger is unnecessary. They will ask, with genuine confusion, why leave when everything you need is right here? Because they still believe safety is the highest good. It is not. Meaning is. One day the wind will change, the ice will crack, the huddle will shift, suddenly, violently, and those who never learn to stand and walk alone will scramble in panic. The man who already knows solitude will not. He has practiced moving without needing permission. He has practiced carrying his own direction. The penguin walking into the white is not running from death. He is walking toward a more honest form of life. Whether his body survives the journey or not, he will never be haunted by the question that quietly tortures most men on their deathbeds. What would have happened if I had only tried? That, not spectacular failure, is the real tragedy most carry to the grave. Unasked questions, unwalked paths, unlived years. If this story unsettles something inside you, that disturbance is not random. It is memory. It is recognition. Somewhere in your own life right now there is an edge, a step you have been circling, a direction you keep postponing, a comfort you have made into a fortress. You do not need to sprint away tomorrow. You do not need to burn bridges or make declarations. You only need to stop pretending that remaining where you are is a neutral act. Every day you linger in the huddle, you are choosing, just not consciously, not courageously. The penguin chose with full awareness, and that is why we cannot look away. The path is cold. The path is silent. The path is often lonely, but it is yours. Turn back once, if you need to. Look honestly at what you are leaving. Acknowledge the full price. Then face forward again and walk. Because staying warm is not the same thing as being truly alive. Walk quietly. Follow the path only you can see.